presentation.
Good morning, Delmarva. Welcome to Coastal A&E. I'm your host, Michael Sprouse, and we are broadcasting live from the beautiful studios of Delaware 105.9 FM. For the next hour, you're in the house of Sprouse, and we're going to take a jump to the creative side of the surf. Good morning, everybody. Got my man Michael Bell here. Good morning. Hey, Roman, how's it going?
Hey, Michael.
Roman over there.
And Michael.
Yeah, The Michaels are here.
Great to be in the House of Sprouse.
Yeah,
again.
right on. It's a fun thing to say. House of Sprouse.
I say it all the time.
Yeah, that's right. The House of Sprouse. Well, your last name is Bell. I don't know what the well of Bell. You got to find something that rhymes. I don't know what.
Nothing can top the House of Sprouse. Let's just stick
House
with
of
that.
Sprouse.
Yeah.
I am glad, and for the first time, we're streaming live on the Coastal AE Facebook page.
I know. I even got dressed up for the
You got
event.
this very cool jacket on.
As to you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you, man. That is
Kerchief,
a very
I like that.
nice. Yeah, got a little pocket square, and this is like that. So can people see his jacket? It's amazing, really cool, sparkly thing there. Beautiful. We have a fun show going on today.
We do.
Because it's always fun when you're in the house. We always have a really good time. And you and I have been friends for many years. And, of course, you're a successful visual artist. We have a lot of shared experiences in that. We've already determined, here's what we can and cannot talk about on the air. And
we got like one or two things, and then we'll just run ads.
And everything else is good. Everything else, yeah. Then we'll just run ads the rest of the time. I'm going to be giving away a couple of tickets today to Sleuth, which is on stage at Possum Point Players in Georgetown.
Exciting.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That's in the second half hour. That's always a good time. Got Ray calling in, as he always does this morning. Cuvée Ray. We're going to talk about what's going on at the restaurant and talk about, his vast knowledge of wine. And we want people to call in at 302-839-1059. That is the Delmarva Allstate agent Paul Sarnak talk or text line. And, of course, it's Groundhog Day, man. Groundhog Day.
Feels like that sometimes, doesn't it?
Groundhog Day. Constantly. But it literally is. So, Roman, we were talking before we went on the air. He did or did not see
Did we
his
get
shadow.
good news?
Right?
He did not.
Did
see
not.
the shadow.
So that means we have an early spring, right?
Yes.
And so you were like, you said, I wonder what the statistics are of his accuracy.
The accuracy, yeah.
Fill us in on that.
39% accurate.
And I'm like, that's not bad. And you're like, that's terrible.
He's been doing it for 102 years. It's pretty bad.
He's been
Pretty
right
bad, but he's better than
39%
most
of the time.
meteorologists.
That's right. Probably better than my phone app that I use. I have 3 different weather apps, and every time it's always 3 different weather forecasts.
Although driving in here in 19-degree weather with snow everywhere, I'm not so sure he's.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
It's going to be 60 next week. That's what
Yeah.
they're talking about. Pretty
It's gonna
crazy
be like
stuff.
Mid-40s tomorrow.
Yeah,
Like a little,
this will all be gone.
Yeah,
which is
crazy.
nice. I've got flowers coming up. I got daffodil bulbs coming up in the yard already, which is that's a pretty cool thing. So yeah, spring is right around the corner. He didn't see his shadow. I guess we got spring. But that movie is one of my favorite films. I talked about. I put a little promo out about the show. I love that movie. I love the whole thing about him being stuck in time. There's a lot of artistic connections to that movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you and I have spent a lot of time over the years just talking about sort of the connections to art and really sort of a bigger sort of spiritual aspect to work and even time.
Yeah.
In fact, my guest last week, Cindy Cavett, who's a great writer, we had a lot of fun. And a few weeks ago, I put this sort of call out. I wanted to talk to any type of artist that were using time as an element in their work, whether they're writing or composing music or making paintings or whatnot, because that's a really interesting aspect of it. And
Well,
she's
it
like, I want to
absolutely
get
is.
into this. So, yeah.
I just started watching the 3rd season of True Detective that just came out on
yeah,
HBO.
yeah.
And they revisited what the first season, the premise behind it, and there was time, this big thing called, they were speaking about it as time is a flat circle. And it came up again in the 3rd season, which is really interesting. It's an interesting concept.
Time is a flat circle.
Yeah,
So how do they put that into the context of the show?
Well, just in terms of how things become cyclical, and it's not necessarily that we're on this continuum where something's constantly evolving. Where it's actually, if you flip it and lay it down, you can cross paths, almost like speeds of light and things like that.
Wow. So
It's
there's
interesting.
no
Very
escaping, folks. You're
That's right. There's no excuse. So whatever you're doing now,
That's right.
Do good and do right
That's right.
because you're going to be doing it again.
Be doing it again and again and again. It's like what is the what's the guy that was pushing the big boulder up the hill only to over and over again. Yeah. That's a depressing thought, though. You know, I don't know if I like that.
Well,
but when it comes to art, it's very interesting. Keep it light. Yeah, no, I didn't mean that was depressing. It's interesting. Listen, I want people to feel free to call in 302-839-1059, or you can text, which is good. Some people don't like to, hear their voice on the radio.
Why not?
I don't know. I mean, I can't, but I'm like, no, it's good. Just
make them
go ahead.
make them famous.
Make them yeah, you got to call in. Some people love to hear it, which is true, but some people
and if we get somebody like that, we'll just let us know, and you can just hit them on the mute.
Roman over there can deal with it.
Roman,
he can deal with anything.
Roman can. Oh, you got another one of those. Boom.
Yeah, there's a dump button.
Shut that one down.
That's right. So you and I, we've had several. I mean, our forte is visual art, painting.
Sure.
And you have had great success over the years, and I've had quite a bit of success in that field as well. But you and I, one of the things that we're going to talk about today was inspiration, because there's been plenty of times when you and I have just inspired each other to keep going, because It's very difficult to get, disillusioned sometimes when you work in the arts.
It is, and I think inspiration, personally, I don't think that as an artist, or if you're an aspiring artist, you should really be looking at the trends of what's happening in the art world to try to find your inspiration, because you're never going to miss the mark, because then your work's not even going to be authentic. I think your inspiration, it's in you already. It's our stories. And I think telling our stories is a big piece to that puzzle. I think often everybody walks around with the social mask, so to speak. You and I both have them.
Yeah.
Everybody. I think what art does, and painting in particular, visual journaling, things, drawing, reflecting, I think it strips away that mask, and it puts out there for the public what's really going on. And, for me, that inspiration from telling our stories, it's all around me. It's every day. I mean, right now, we're having moments, we're creating memories. That becomes part of the narrative. So that's very important to me.
Keeping your work has a narrative aspect
Personal,
to it.
Yeah,
Personal
keeping it personal. Absolutely. It's an expression. It's an extension of us. It really is. It's a true extension of us. I mean, you want to find out about Michael Sprouse, look at his work, and even your writing. Now you've dove in the field of writing.
Yes,
and, Now you're an accomplished author as well.
Yeah, published author.
Absolutely. So, and we keep that.
What stage of art won't he go? Well, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we keep that flowing. We keep that evolving. The form of art may change and evolve as it has for our careers over many times. But the inspiration always seems to remain the same. It's the same stories we keep returning to, maybe in different forms, in different ways.
I think it's an interesting aspect of what you just said, and of course I totally agree with what you said about art, regardless of what your outsource is, whether you're writing or painting or singing and creating music or any of the other. Maybe you're creating some beautiful ceramics or whatnot. Yeah. You can tell the difference between work that has that element of self versus I've just cranked this out because I'm going to come over here and sell them. There's a difference.
Absolutely. I was at the NAEA convention many years ago with Eric Fischel, and I was having a conversation with him, and then Chuck Close was there as well. And Chuck Close, who's very
amazing,
well known,
incredible, amazing.
He said something that really stuck with me. We were having a conversation about this, and people were asking him about, where do you find your inspiration? He said, it's really funny. When I was in college, he said there was I had a professor who was very well renowned in their own right, was looking at my work, giving it a critique. And he was saying, I see a little bit of this artist in this work. Oh, I see a little bit of that artist in that one. And he was going around the room and pointing out all these, influences. And he said, suddenly I realized I was nowhere in the room.
Yeah.
And so he said, so I needed to do something completely different so that my own authentic voice would start showing through in the work, not the influence of all these other people.
Sure.
I think it's so important to have a mentor, have somebody to look to for inspiration that maybe works like you already, that is successful in the field already. But at the same token, you need to sing in your unmistakable voice and be original, be authentic. That's important. That's how I carved out my niche.
Yeah.
I was doing paintings of, people and characters and things from my life that I knew, but also things that only I had access to, a certain element of the world that would only allow somebody like me in.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, that's true. And of
Yeah.
course, if anyone goes to your website, mbellart.com, you can, isn't that right?
that's right. That's right.
It just rolls right off the tongue. You can see this, and of course, and people can see the elements, the very narrative aspects of your work.
Right.
And of course, over our 20 years that we've been more or less.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's pretty wild.
Meeting you as a gallery owner and then
yeah.
seeing you as an artist, then seeing your career even evolve into elements of theater. And I'd done a couple little
Sure.
acting bits as
Yeah.
well. We both dabbled in a little bit of anything, and then we've both written. So it's great how our careers have kind of paralleled one another
Yeah, it's
over
pretty
the
wild.
years.
I don't know. The last time you were on, I'm trying to think about the last time you were on this show. You've been on the show.
Well-
you called in a couple times, and you were here once. It was snowing then as well.
It was. And the very last time I was on the show, I was strictly here promoting ArtQuest for kids
Yeah.
at the high school where I was working at the time. And now I'm no longer there. So I was there to promote that and help those kids. And now I'm actually bringing something like ArtQuest to the district where I'm supervising now. So it's going to be called Art Scene, and it's going to be happening April 9th and April 11th. And in Queen Anne's County. It's going to be amazing.
Very exciting.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be
because you're a
amazing.
Delmarva guy now.
I'm a
right?
Delmarva guy now, and and it's great. So,
I think we got Ray on the line. I'm thinking. Let's see. Hello. Good morning. You're on Coastal A&E.
Hey, good morning, Michael. It is Ray.
It's
How are
Ray.
you?
Ray Kurz. How are you, my friends? Good to hear you. Good to hear you. How is everything?
Everything's great. Everything's great. Woke up this morning and looked outside. Beautiful snow everywhere.
Yeah,
Won't
beautiful.
Be here for very long, but we'll enjoy it while we have it.
That's fine with me. That's not going to be here very long. I'm not a fan of the snow, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Hey, you know what's funny? Someone tell me So you're of course owner of Cuvée Ray Wine Bar and Restaurant, and I know you're doing you're doing some interesting changes in the restaurant right now until you have your big reopening, which is going to be later this month.
Right.
There is wine. Speaking about winter and snow. There's wine that's meant to be very, very cold, isn't there? What is that? Or am I wrong about that?
Well, it's interesting because that's one of my kind of pet peeves is serving wines at the right temperatures. So we have various methods of doing that, and even within white wine, some white wines should be colder than others. Like sparkling wines and champagnes are typically drunk much colder than, let's say, a full-bodied wine like a Chardonnay or something like that. So there is a continuum. I think the coolest you would drink wines are probably, like I said, sparkling wines and light-bodied whites. There's also something called an ice wine.
That's what I was thinking about. What is the ice wine?
Yeah. So ice wine isn't really the temperature it's strong. It's a dessert wine that's kept on the vine through autumn into early winter. In cold climates, obviously, like Canada and Germany and places like that, until the grapes freeze. And when they freeze and you separate out the water, when you crush the grapes, they become very concentrated and very sweet. So it's a dessert wine. We don't have a ice wine on our wine list, but I am actively I've tasted a few, and I just haven't found the right one. But we are going to add an ice wine to the wine list. That's something I've been working on while we've been, had some downtime. Is going over the wine list and seeing what else we wanted to add to the wine list at Cuvée Ray.
So when you add these new wines to your list, how many wines at that point in time will you have? Because you have what, over 170?
Yeah. So I just, like I said, we are applying for hopefully to see if we can get a Wine Spectator Award. So I had a chance to kind of, really go over the wine list and add everything up. We actually now, because we've added some wines, we've got about, I think, 195 wines.
Wow, that's impressive.
Wine list. Yeah. So
that's great.
One of the wines I just added to the list is a wine called an orange wine. And orange wines are essentially white wines. As I've mentioned before, wine gets its color through the skins of the grapes, not from the juice from the grapes. And orange wine are white grapes that are left where the juice is left in contact with the skins. And so they pick up an orangish color. Normally, a white wine is crushed right away and the juice is separated from the skins. But with an orange wine, the juice is kept in contact with the skins, and so it takes on like this orangey color. And I tasted a delicious one recently, so it's on the list.
That sounds great. An orange wine, just for the color. I would like to see that. It's on your. It's going to be on your list. I'm looking forward to that. So
it's a beautiful wine.
Fantastic. And this is going to be, right now. I know that you're working on some different things in the restaurant, and it's going to be around the end of this month.
Yeah, we don't have an exact date because we're doing some construction and a little bit minor construction. So it's always hard to get an exact date. That's how it was. I remember we were opening the restaurant.
Yeah.
It's just really, really hard to get an exact date. But yeah, we'll be opening in February. Don't have the exact date, but stay tuned. We'll post it on Facebook and our website and on your show. But yeah, we're doing a lot of, as we go into 2019, I'm really excited about that. We're going to be kind of doing some more things, I think, to become more directly connected with our guests. It's always been my vision that Cuvée Ray should be not only part of the community, but a community unto itself where people feel that they're part of it. And so we're going to be doing things like doing more Facebook Live, getting a Facebook wine group going, creating a customer loyalty program, things like that to really connect with people. And actually, one of the things I'm thinking about doing is on the wine list, after talking with a bunch of our guests, everyone's always got great suggestions about wines. And I'm thinking of dedicating a little portion of the wine list to wines that are suggested for inclusion by guests.
That's a good idea. That's great.
People. Yeah, I'm going to
be fun to get in on that.
To be on the wine list. And if anyone's listening and want to suggest anything, they can email me at ray@cuveray.com and send in any suggestions for the wine list.
That is a great idea.
Hey, Ray, can I ask you a question? I'm going to be in town, and what's the location of your place? Not that I'd probably be stopping by there without Michael, but
you never know.
What's the location over there?
We have it. Yeah, we're right on Rehoboth Avenue, 236 Rehoboth Avenue, kind of diagonally across from the new convention center and town hall. We'd love for you to come by and check us out.
All right, fantastic.
When they open again, which will be later this month. So.
And I think it's fantastic that you're coming on the air and promoting even while you're preparing to keep things open, because that just you're really keeping the doors open for your guests even while you're restaurants.
Yeah, it's all good stuff.
So that's great.
It's important to be out there.
Thanks so much.
And people can go to your website, cuveeray.com, CUVEERAY.com. You have all the information there. And we're looking forward to this exciting new element of the restaurant. So, Ray, thank you. Thank you very much, my friend.
All right. Well, thank you, and have a great day and a great weekend.
All right. Stay warm out there.
All right. You too. Take care.
Yeah. Fun. It's always like having a little call-in from Ray, who's a sponsor of Coastal A&E, and I'd like to share that time with him. He always has some very interesting things about wine and just the rest, what he's doing in general, and they have great live music there. So I'll be happy when they open up again. We were talking about artistic inspiration,
right?
And this is something that's important. You spent many years inspiring students, and who've gone on to, these students have gone on themselves to have some really incredible career moves in the arts.
Absolutely. I have a student right now, actually. It's really funny that you say that. I saw an article that came out, Jerry Saltz, who's a renowned art critic in New York, and he wrote an article about the up-and-coming top artists to watch out for. One of them is Louis Fertino, and Jerry had written a blurb for my book. And so I reached out to Jerry. I said, that was one of my students. He said, that figures.
That's cool.
He didn't even know it. But, and so Louis he's been traveling the world. And it was really funny because there was an award that he won. It was a National Rising Star Award. And I flew him and his family out to Seattle. And So when we get out there, he received this award, and I think it's important for students to go places and experience that.
I agree. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not just bring them back a certificate type of a thing. So we went, had fun with the whole family, and when I was asking for Lewis for something, when I was, writing, Lewis sent me this great email, and it still to this day touches my heart. He said, "Listen," he said, "I just want you to know that you taking me to Seattle and me winning that award, what it did for me was it showed me that my art can actually take me places." And he said, "And I'm writing you as we speak from Berlin, Germany, while I'm on a Fulbright.
Wow,
I wanted you to know."
that is phenomenal.
And since then, he had a solo show in Paris. He's been traveling,
That's amazing.
traveling the world, just doing amazing things. Yes.
And how old is he now? What do you
Now,
think, Reverend?
I want to say he graduated high school in 2011. So yeah,
He's early,
he's
probably
in
early
his early
20s.
part of his career. Yeah,
Excellent.
absolutely.
That's
So
phenomenal.
So this is the kind of
Phenomenal.
thing
Yeah.
that art can do.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk more about that in the second half hour. I need
right.
to give a shout out to one of our sponsors of Coastal A&E, George Thomason, Realtor of ISelltheBeach.net, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Gallo Realty. George has listed a fantastic opportunity for you to own a contemporary 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath single-family home located at 28983 Stockley Road in Milton, with attached garage and the capsulated, I can't say the word, and capsulated basement. Second floor bonus room, luxurious saltwater pool. That pool's amazing, by the way. Expansive patio and 30 by 60 climate-controlled workshop pole barn. Situated on an acre plus, this home has a gracious open floor plan. Includes a gorgeous kitchen with granite counters and rich wood cabinetry, tile and hardwood floors, first floor master and luxury bath with heated floors. Privacy and relaxation are yours in this well-located home that offers the best of both worlds, quiet country living and close to all resort beach destinations.
Incidentally, while you're looking at that, you can go to 105 Beverly Avenue in Edgewater, and there's another fantastic
there you
house with a
go.
pool that's been for sale
That's for a while.
since the summer, since somebody pulled out on a contract on me in December 13th.
We won't go into that, the crazy aspects of that. But if this listing is phenomenal, and you can go to www.isellthebeach.net and check this out. It's a beautiful listing. I was there, I was checking it out, the other photos online.
Mr.
Phenomenal.
Thomason, a phenomenal realtor.
The saltwater pool. Yes, he is. That pool is amazing. I'd have a saltwater pool. So anyway, when we come back, we got a few minutes before the first half hour is
Okay.
done. We got 1 minute, according to Roman over here. 60 seconds.
60 seconds.
Yeah, we're
Go.
going to give away some tickets in the next half hour, which is exciting, to Sleuth, which is on stage right now, Possum Point Players in Georgetown.
60 seconds. Who's your artistic inspiration?
You know, we were talking about.
I
I
know we
have
were.
so many artists that living and no longer. Artists of the past. I like work that always sort of speaks to me from these artists that have long sort of have gone by. But I'm gonna get back to you on that in the second half hour.
Little teaser.
A little
before
teaser. Yeah. Artistic inspiration.
Everyone's
Who's that
going to want to
be?
know who it is.
Well, I was talking about, I was telling you about I've been really fascinated by this artist, Hilma af Klint, who is long gone, but she has there's an amazing show at the Guggenheim right now that my friend Catherine Borneman, hey, Kathy, if you're out there listening today, I know she's busy. She's in New York right now, and she was telling me about this show, and this woman has this fascinating story. So she was literally, she had these incredible paintings, and based on her story, and of course I haven't read the total details, she was channeling spirits that instructed her how to paint.
Yeah, that's a teaser for the break.
That's pretty wild.
That is.
It's wild stuff.
We'll be back, everybody.
That's right. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. We're live.
Hey, like Schwarzenegger. We'll
That's
be
right.
back.
We'll be back. All right.
The Delmarva Allstate agent Paul Sarnak talk or text line is open for you now. Instant text into our studio at 839-1059. If you drive less than 25 miles per day, then Allstate's new MileWise pay-per-mile car insurance might be right for you. Call Paul Sarnak, your Delmarva Allstate agent, with offices in Delaware and Maryland at 302-248-8500. And remember, don't text and drive.
American Responder Services. Get armed and educated. Everything they sell or recommend, they have researched or personally used. Their instructors have real-world law enforcement and military experience and have trained thousands in crisis management, firearms safety, and personal defense. Learn more by stopping into American Responder Services, located on Hebron Road just past the car wash, or visit them online at AmericanResponderServices.com. Follow American Responder Services on Facebook and Instagram.
Planning a party for the big game Sunday? Make Hawker's G&E Supermarket and Hawker Super Center your party headquarters. Call the G&E store now at 302-539-9662 and order your store-smoked beef brisket by Friday, February 1st for Sunday pickup, because they take the time to marinate and slow cook the beef to perfection and then slice to order. Folks say it's the best they've ever tasted. Store-smoked pulled pork is available at both locations, as well as their famous chicken wingettes, mild or hot, along with a variety of shrimp and deli platters. Pick up some store-made 100% beef or pork hot dogs, and of course, all your party snacks and beverages. Find all the weekly bargains at hawkersupermarket.com. Big store quality with small store friendly personal service. Shop local, shop Hawkers. Hawker's G&E Supermarket in the Salt Pond Plaza, Bethany, and Hawker Super Center on the corner of routes 26 and 17 in Clarksville. Visit hawkersupermarket.com.
CBS News update. Virginia Governor Ralph Northam is under fire after admitting he appeared in a racist photo. Protesters are rallying outside the governor's mansion.
I'm insulted that black people are used like pawns in this particular party.
They're calling for Northam to step down, but not everyone wants him to resign.
It doesn't mean that he's the same person when he took that picture. All right? He's most likely a different person now because he got elected to be the governor of our state.
Northam has apologized twice for the offensive picture. CBS's Kenneth Craig.
It shows two people dressed in blackface and a KKK hood. One of them is Northam. A second yearbook entry later surfaced from Northam's time at Virginia Military Institute, listing his nickname as a racial slur.
Northam is scheduled to hold a news conference today to address the controversy. CBS News Update, I'm Wendy Gillette.
If you have outdated windows, doors, and siding, then stop wasting your money on higher utility bills today. Call Window World of Delmarva at 302-846-2224 for your free in-home estimate. Window World is America's largest home remodeler, offering you the best for less. All replacement windows, doors, and siding are made in the USA, backed by the Good Housekeeping seal and installed to your satisfaction by Window World's professional team. For durability, quality, ease of cleaning, and energy efficiency, replace your windows with new curb-appealing windows from Window World of Delmarva. Window World also sells and installs entry, storm, and patio doors in many styles. Window World of Delmarva services the entire Eastern Shore, from Kent, Dover, and Newcastle to Chincoteague, Virginia. Stop by their newest location at the Smyrna Mart Shopping Center in Smyrna. Not only do they stand by their windows, they stand on them. Window World of Delmarva, 302-846-2224, and online at windowworlddelmarva.com.
Hi, this is Pat with the Response Computer Group Technician Tip of the Month. Windows 7 is 9 years old this year. In the tech world, that means it will soon reach its end of life. 1 year from now, January 14th, 2020, Microsoft will stop providing free bug fixes and security patches, otherwise known as updates to Windows 7. This means you have almost 1 full year to make a decision on what to do. But what are your options? You can continue to use your Windows 7 computer, but it will be at your own risk. You will have no security against the newest viruses and vulnerabilities. Your other option is to upgrade to a new Windows 10 computer. Windows 10 is a stable operating system, and it includes Windows Defender Antivirus to help protect your system against malicious attacks. For more information, visit us online at rcgweb.com or call me at 335-3400. That number again is 335-3400. Response Computer Group, servicing businesses and consumers in the Delmarva community since 1983.
Off-season specials are up and running at Indigo Indian Restaurant, just steps from the boardwalk in Rehoboth Beach. The Sunday Indian Lunch Buffet is the boardwalk's best-kept secret for only $19.95, including a Prosecco mimosa. Indigo also has amazing specials Monday through Thursday, including Thursday's Appy Hour, when all apps are half price between 5 and 7 p.m. Indigo Indian Restaurant, an oasis of flavor in the heart of Rehoboth Beach.
Hey everybody, Michael Sprouse here. For the last 3.5 years, you've watched me on WRDE, NBC Coast TV, as the host of the Arts and Entertainment Report and Coastal Cuisine. Now, you can listen to me live during Coastal A&E, only on Delaware 105.9 FM. Every Saturday morning between 11 and 12, I'll bring you the latest and greatest news about all the exciting arts and entertainment events in Delaware, from music to movies, photography to painting. With special in-house guests and more, we'll cover it all. So join me, Michael Sprouse, for Coastal A&E every Saturday morning at 11 and take a creative jump in the surf.
The following program is a paid commercial presentation.
I like this song. It's a good song. Called Murder of Crows.
How appropriate.
Yeah, talk about a narrative piece of art, man. This, I know. If you listen to the word, it's by Lindy Ortega, Lindi. Great song. And she's singing about, I guess, if you listen to the lyrics, she, I guess, has maybe killed her boyfriend, buried him by the tracks, as she says, near Field of Corn Road. And everyone's like, where's your boyfriend? She's like, oh, you don't want to know.
And this is her creative confession.
It's a great song called Murder of Crows by Lindy Ortega. So, as we said, we are broadcasting live on simulcast? Is that the right word?
Simulcast.
Simulcast. Is that the right word?
The right word.
Well, I don't know what you're trying to say.
So
So
we're on the radio live, and we're also on our Facebook page live too,
Yeah,
which is facebook.com/coastalae. Just the letters AE, Coastal AE, facebook.com. And that is being sponsored by Glass House Stained Glass. And that's Melinda House. She's a phenomenal stained glass artist. She's been a guest here on the show. We filmed an A&E report in her beautiful location there in Georgetown.
Well, I'm happy to be a part of the first one that you're streaming live, because I love being part of these historic moments. You know,
it was the perfect decision.
That. Yeah, absolutely.
It was the perfect decision. But I got to give a shout out to Melinda and Glass House. She teaches stained glass there. She has an incredible gallery upstairs. The next time you're in town, we're going to swing by there to Georgetown and check it out, because it's beautiful.
Good.
And she's located at 140 East Market Street in Georgetown, Delaware. She's a sponsor of the show, and she is sponsoring Glass House Stained Glass, the live feed on our Facebook page, where people can come and see us right now. Coastal AE. That's facebook.com/coast. Well, no, it's not slash. It's Coastal AE. People can check that out. I just put up a link, actually, for this artist I was telling you about. That's now has a show at the Guggenheim in New York.
Okay.
Hilma af Klint. It's it's a Swedish name.
Gotcha.
Hilma af Klint, and she was painting for only a very short amount of time, and in the early 1900s. And I believe if you go to this article and check this out, she and a group of other female artists at the time were being channeled. She claims were literally spirits were telling her what to paint, and she has this amazing body of work. And the spirits told her at the time, according to the article and a friend that was telling me about it, that these, quote, were paintings for the future. So they were kept by her family, hidden away for decades and decades and decades. And now this is her first show, I believe, that's at the Guggenheim. And these paintings are amazing. And people are proclaiming that she was really one of the forefounders of modern art in the way, because you look at these paintings and you're like, oh, and they're huge, massive pieces.
Well, and I think it really relates to some of in the context of the collaboration art movement that you and I really pioneered many years ago, where we were maybe not channeling, but, finding our inspiration and trying to figure out people's stories and bring those stories to life through layers of meaning on that canvas. Like, for instance, let me ask you a question, and this will be more for your viewers.
Here it comes.
Well, as you're sifting through photographs, and you've talked about this before, where you sift through vintage photographs.
Absolutely, yeah.
What is it that happens when you find one that speaks to you and you say, I need to paint my interpretation of this person's story? How does that process happen?
That is a good question. And I don't know if I've ever, I just have a connection to this, whoever is in this particular photograph.
Goes by feel, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very intuitive. I'm like, I want to paint this person. There's something about this, and it could be a benign photo. I mean, there's nothing, it's just, there's something that I look at this, I'm like, this is who I want to make a painting out from. I don't know if if there's some type of connection there. There may very well be, but I don't know.
I think so, and I think that also it transcends for the viewer, like from an artistic process where you and we start to build these stories, and that's a big difference too for everybody out there, just in terms of a little bit of art conceptual background. The difference between photographs and paintings. So a photograph is a moment that's captured and it's stolen out of time, whereas a painting is something that you're actually putting into the world because you're creating it through layers and layers of an experience that's happening. So they're two very different animals.
They are very different, but I do like that there's a connection to them, the visual connection to them. And I like the thing that you said, well, it's stolen out of time, because I love old things, ephemera, as they say it. And when I find these old photos, and we're talking about photos from the 1920s,
Sure.
some of them are from the 1890s that I model my paintings after. And particularly the older the photograph is, there's a pretty good chance that the person in that photograph, even though the photo may be 100 years old, 90 years old, they probably held that photo at one point.
Sure.
I'm finding these like in old antique shops. And
in art, it's so personal, especially an old photograph. I mean, it's one of the, what's the first thing you grab if your house is on fire? You grab your pets and your photographs. You grab your mementos, the things that... so you can hold on to those memories that are so important for collectors, for example, too. I think this plays a personal role as well, where you're looking at a work of art. Just say we finished the painting now, and now we've created a moment. And I've had the experience too, where, for instance, art opens the door for even healing in many ways. Where I had a kid once he was 16-year-old. Was looking at one of my paintings, and he said, what's that about? And so we started getting in this story. The painting was of this woman, and she had gone through some periods of violence in her life, and she had overcome that struggle. And he said, well, I can really relate to that painting because I saw my sister. She was shot in front of me when I was at my 9th, birthday party, and she was only 16 at the time when she was shot and killed.
Holy man. That's intense.
And then we started to work out some of these he started digging out pictures, and I taught him how to piece together collages and start to take and express something that was so internal and give it a physical form, and reframe it in a creative way, as opposed to going through life and dealing with it in destructive ways, which often happens. So art can be very powerful in many ways.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yes, it's incredibly moving, and all aspects of art, except for like maybe the crazy poster that you get at the big box store, But I won't go into that. There's a very interesting comment that we have from Kimberly Lewis on our Facebook page about William Blake, the artist, and she says,
William Blake is powerful.
It's pretty wild stuff, and it says here, based on her comment, he painted a portrait of his wife after her death. People would see his light on at night, night long. When the portrait was finished, and he showed it to people, they asked him how he got so perfect, and he said, every night she came and posed for me, which is interesting. This is after she's dead.
Wow.
So and then of course they locked him up. But but it's interesting that I mean, who's to say that this whatever this inspiration is. For the visual artist, especially when you're dealing in portraiture, narrative portraiture, which is something that you and I,
we love
have done.
I love narrative portraiture just for the fact that I think it's very easy to capture a likeness if you're good at what you do technically. But capturing a person's soul, it's like meeting. It's like you meet somebody for the first time, and as you get to know them, their face changes. You ever had that experience?
Oh, sure, yeah.
That's their true personality really coming to the surface. And if you can capture that in a work of art, even beyond likeness, that's something special. That's something to strive for.
Yeah. And makes it narrative.
Absolutely.
I need to give a shout out to one of the sponsors of Coastal A&E, the Residences of Lighthouse Cove. Dewey Beach, do you like the idea of luxury living? Who doesn't, right? Well, that's exactly what you'll find. The Residences of Lighthouse Cove, Dewey Beach. They feature brand new 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom luxury condominiums nestled directly next to the Rehoboth Bay in the heart of Dewey Beach, Delaware. The Residences feature resort-filled amenities, incredible bay views, bayside dining, and much more. They're family-built, family-inspired, and family-operated, all designed specifically for you. And here's a quick save-the-date reminder. It's a President's Day weekend open house on Saturday, February 16th, between 1 to 4 p.m. It's your chance to take a tour of the limited remaining inventory. There's only 3 left. breathtaking balcony views in their final phase under construction. So, welcome to luxury living in Dewey
Luxury
Beach.
living.
I love saying that.
And
For more
buy some of our
information,
paintings and
that's
fill those
right.
places
yes,
with them.
That's
That's
exactly what you need. When you move into a new condo, you need art. For more information about the Residences of Lighthouse Cove, visit them online at www.theresidencesde.com. These really are. The views from this place are amazing. Incredible. I filmed a promo there last summer. I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to stay here. I don't want to leave this location. It's really beautiful stuff.
Move the radio station there. We'll do some
We
live
could.
feeds from
In fact,
there.
I'm going to be doing probably a live broadcast at some point when the weather gets nice, when there's not,
Sure.
crazy snow and 17. But, we didn't get the Arctic blast like a lot of the rest of the country did, So I'm happy about that. Yes, there's some snow and ice. It was actually sort of pretty last night.
It was beautiful.
There, the kids in the neighborhood were playing on the street and sledding and all that jazz. Some strange creature ran through my yard. I saw its tracks this morning. I don't know what that was. Could have been anything. Maybe it was a fox, a rabbit. I don't know.
Maybe it was Poxitani Phil.
Maybe that's right.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me about that. And he says we're going to have spring, which is nice. And we know how accurate the groundhog is when it comes to weather prediction.
Not very.
Yeah, so 61%, it's going to probably
61% of the time he's wrong. Yeah. I was like, that sounds great. That's not bad. You're like, yo, that's terrible. Those stats.
I mean, you'd get
terrible.
fired if you had that success rate.
You're right. But you're right. And what's the weather today, Mr. 61%? Wrong most of the time. I want to remind everyone, 302-839-1059, the Delmarva Allstate agent Paul Sarnak, talk or text line. Give us a text. Give us a shout out. We love talking about artistic inspiration, and what inspires people artistically, especially when you can tell the difference. You and I have both, of course, been around art for many, many years, and you can see the difference between, there's some nice work, but then there's something that will really move you, and that's the pieces that people really connect to, and that's what you're like, what is the story here? What's going on here?
And I think it's important for all of us to find a way to stay artists. I mean, at one point, even as little kids, we were all artists. We all had to take our art classes, and we all had to draw. And I think getting back to that, I think, is a very important thing. I think drawing it keeps part of us human, and I don't want us to, as human beings, lose touch with that in this technological age. I think it's so important to still draw. I still keep a visual journal, and I still work in it all the time. I think it's so important to just be able to connect to your process, even if it's your thoughts, and put them down. I can revisit journals from 20 years ago, and I remember exactly where I was when I drew that picture and wrote down that little blurb of notes or ideas or plans.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll go through and I'll find these old drawings.
Sure,
and
it's like writing down a
wow.
dream, and you remember exactly the dream vividly,
Especially
because you
old
wrote
journals.
it down.
Old
Yeah.
journals, particularly because your visual journals, and I have some visual journals as well, and they're literally like these intense, they're drawings that are documenting all types of things.
And
really, almost beyond words, because there's sort of visual language connected to them.
They do. I mean, I love how some of yours were almost like graphic novels.
They were. It was pretty wild. I got to dig those out, man.
Yeah, you remember those?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
those were
wild.
fantastic.
They're just like they were like, but it was all visuals. Great stuff. I think we should give away these tickets before we run out of time.
Yeah, let's
I
do
meant it, yes, because I'm like, I forgot about this.
Yeah.
We have two tickets tonight to Sleuth, which is on stage at Possum Point Players. In Georgetown, the Possum Hall at 441 Old Laurel Road, Delaware. It's a great show. They say it's the ultimate game of cat and mouse played out in a cozy English country house.
House of Sprouse.
House of Sprouse. But this is not quite the House of Sprouse, but it's Sleuth. I mean, I think there was a movie made years ago. It's a fun.
Clue?
It's similar. It wasn't Clue, but it was actually called Sleuth. But it's a similar. So what do we take? Caller 3?
Yeah, sure.
302-839-1059. You'll get 2 tickets. That's tonight's show, which is, I believe, at 7:30. You might want to check. I'm pretty sure it's still on. I know that they had to cancel last night because of the weather, but right now I think we're good weather-wise.
Tickets will be at the door for them?
Yep, absolutely. The box office, 302-839-1059. We'll take the third caller, whoever that is. We'll win 2 tickets to see Sleuth tonight at 7:30.
wildly.
That's right, at Possum Point Players, which is great theater. I've actually been on stage in productions there.
I'm not surprised.
You're
everywhere.
Is there anything you haven't done artistically? But I had a lot of fun. When I first moved to the area, I didn't know anybody. I'm like, how am I going to meet people? And I went,
Join
I
a theater
auditioned
group.
for I did. I did. And it was a lot of fun. I met some great people, and I'm still friends to this day with the people that I met then, and we had a fun time on stage, and we have, I think, someone on the phone. Good morning. You're on Coastal A&E.
Yes, good morning.
Hey, are you calling for the tickets?
Yes, I am.
Well, you have won them, sir. Congratulations.
Oh, terrific. Thank you.
You're welcome. You get to see Sleuth tonight. It's a great show. It's a Possum Point Players. Their theater at 441 Old Laurel Road in Georgetown, Delaware.
Okay.
So what is your name, sir?
First name is Andrew.
Andrew. Hey, Roman's going to get your information off. He's going to keep you on the phone. He's going to get the information for you. And those tickets will be there at the box office. Have you been to the theater there in Possum Points?
Not to that one, but I'd like to get there.
Well, now you have a chance. It's a very good theater, and I think they've been there for years. Possum Point Players have been around since the 70s, I believe. So you're going to have a really good experience. Thank you for listening.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just hold on
I
the line
appreciate
for me.
it. All right, Roman's going to get your information from you, and this fellow Andrew is going to go see a show tonight. Isn't that
Beautiful.
fun? I like
Beautiful
doing that.
thing. Yeah.
I had a really good time when I was on stage in that show. And when I was talking to the theater the other day, I was talking to someone from the theater at that time, and this was a long time ago. I want to say it was probably almost 18 years ago or so, the show that I was in. It was also in January. It was very cold backstage.
Right.
And the heat actually at that time it broke backstage. So we were changing clothes. It was freezing, but we had a really good time. It was Dial M for Murder was the show that I was in.
Seems to be the theme for today. So.
Yeah, I know. What's up with that? Yeah, we have to, it just sort of happened that way. Maybe that's why I picked that song. I don't know.
It's cool. You got giving away those tickets for that Sleuth.
Yeah,
I mean,
Sleuth.
it ties in.
It's a murder mystery.
Yeah, it ties in.
That
It's
makes
very cool.
sense.
I actually did something yesterday with a group of teachers, and it was pretty interesting. Where I asked them to bring objects with them, right? And I had them arrange them almost like you can imagine multiple still lifes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had them put a chair over top of that, and we covered it with a cloth so they couldn't see it. And each little station that was comprised was a crime scene. That was the premise behind it, where they had to come up with a story, a visual story about it. And then instead of looking at it as a still life drawing, they had to reach in and feel what they were drawing. So it was a tactile drawing. And it was really
So they couldn't see them. They were doing it, they're feeling.
They had to reach under and feel.
That is
and then
very
unveil the curtain afterwards and see if your drawing looks anything
And
like
did
it.
they?
And it does. It does. Strangely enough, it really does. There's something to feeling that physical form. It actually helps you to draw something more three-dimensionally as opposed to looking at something off of a picture or something that's flat. So it's an
wild.
interesting concept.
And what were some of these
I
objects that they were?
Oh, there was all
tactically
kinds
doing?
of things that they brought in. I mean, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool, but they had to put them together based on content and create the narrative.
That's wild.
But then I covered up the narrative, so it was like throwing a wrench into the equation.
Were any of these just their renderings way off base from their actual?
They were
object?
actually, yeah. I mean, they got creative with the colors and the expressions that way, and many of them. I said you have to use at least two different mediums, so it forced them out of their comfort zones and allowed them to explore different ways of working, because I think it's important for kids too, not to, that starting out, not to just teach them projects or techniques. Let them explore. You might be surprised at what they might uncover about their own style by giving them options and choices. It's so important.
Yeah. Do kids do they draw still?
Yeah, they do.
I hope to think that there's a lot of kids out there still actually taking up pen and pencil and drawing something.
They do, and I believe, wholeheartedly that at the root of any strong art program, the foundation's got to be the drawing. It's got to be, that's the piece that kids need to carry with them. I don't care what you do, photography, sculpture, you need drawing.
A basin drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you're not even, and how much time do we have left? 5 minutes or so? Give or take 5 minutes.
Give or take, yeah.
When you have a basin drawing, maybe it doesn't even matter. I mean, are you talking about you're realistically rendering something, or just the act of looking at something and creating a drawing based upon, this?
Here's what I believe, and I think you believe this as well, and because it shows up in a lot of your paintings, that when you're making a personal mark, regardless of how technically proficient you are, you're embedding feeling into something. It's by how heavy you press, by the length of your stroke, by the way that you might shade. I mean, you're adding an expressive element. You're putting a piece of something, your energy, into it. So it just happens naturally.
I think we've talked about this before, you and I, and we've
Energy,
also talked about, and the idea of creating. Who was I talking to? It was last week when I had Cindy Cabot, the writer, on the show, and her publisher called in from California. It was a lot of fun. And we were talking about the concept of a story, which starts out as a thought, which is in the mind, and then it becomes a physical manifestation. Let's say that they actually print a book, even if you're reading it, on your iPad, but that's different. But still,
you're painting a picture.
You're painting a picture. You're creating something physical from nothing, from an idea. You're putting the tools together, but you're making this thing. I think that's phenomenal, and that is a form of manifestation.
It is, and this is where ideas are born, and that's why it's so important to write them down, draw them out, so that you can make that connection with your brain and physically see it. It's why, like, for instance, as you know, I've always had this, like, a wall of fame in my studio where I have all these 8x10 pictures of different, celebrities I've painted for, shows that you and I have done, places I've gone. But I don't have it there to brag or boast. I have it there because there was a certain energy that took place during those moments that were captured. And every time I look at them, it simply reminds me of what that success felt like, so that I know when it's about to happen again, I can feel it almost enhanced.
Interesting.
It's so that I know what that feeling is, and I know I can experience it again.
Because it's all energy, folks, right?
It is.
I mean, that's an important aspect of any of the art, really.
And that's what art is all about. I mean, it's doing something creative as opposed to suppressing something or making something destructive. It's doing something and repurposing, creating, putting something into the world.
2 minutes. We got 2 minutes left.
All right.
How is that?
What do you want to talk about for 2 minutes?
I don't know, man. I'm just blown away that this hour has flown by. But
it has. It always does.
Yeah. And we and I got a lot more. We're going to hang out later in the studio.
Sounds good.
And talk about all types of crazy art.
And this is what where we started. I mean, the first time I visited you, we put a blank canvas on the wall. We didn't have any ideas. Started sifting through some photographs, and you chose one, I chose one, and we just started to draw.
And we painted literally all night long.
All night long. We
Till
stayed up.
The sun came up the next morning. We were still there painting. It was a blast.
I wish we would have time-lapsed it.
That's even possible then, was it? I didn't know.
No.
That was many years ago.
We're that old. Right?
No, is that right? Back in the 1870s when we created that painting. But, it was pretty wild.
We could have live-streamed it, but
That's
Facebook wasn't invented yet.
Facebook didn't exist at that time. 1 minute. Hey, Michael, I want to thank you for being my guest on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
It was my pleasure. It's always a great time. Always enjoy your visit. And of course, it made sense because it was the first time that we did this really very cool live stream. And we're going to be doing this every Saturday. Thank you much. And I wanted you to be a part of that. That's facebook.com/CoastalAE. AE. Coastal AE. I want to give a shout out of thanks again to Melinda House, or Glass House Stained Glass in Georgetown, for sponsoring that. And I've had a lot of fun, and people were checking it out and getting involved and listening to some of the wonderful things that we were talking about. When you are on the show again, and you will be, we'll continue this conversation.
Yeah, I wish you luck with these live streams, too. I think this is a great way to interact with your fans in a modern way. It's great.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. It's fun and exciting. And no, it didn't exist when we made our first painting together.
No.
It did not exist. No. It was a long time ago.
Maybe we'll make another painting again soon.
You never know. I got to break out the supplies.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Thank you, listeners, for calling in and listening. And congratulations to Andrew and the theater tickets. I'm your host, Michael Sprouse, Coastal AE. Have a wonderful week. It's going to get warmer this week. Be happy about the Groundhog. I'll see you guys on the air next Saturday.